Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the Ansar Academy. Today is the day of the first session. We will be starting our past paper session from now on. The other topical videos will be going side by side. तो आज जो है हम लोग मई जून 2020 पेपर 43 को कंप्लीट करेंगे. पहला क्वेश्चन है कि गिव द लेटर ऑफ द कंपाउंड दैट इज़ प्रोपेनॉल. ओके, that means it's an alcohol, so it should contains the OH group and a single bond with oxygen, so it should be D. Part 2 states that they give the letter of the compound that has the empirical formula CH2. Okay, if you look at C, you would come to know that carbon 3 है, hydrogen 6 है, and it would be CH2. So we will write C. If you'll simplify. Moving on. Part 3, give the letter of the one compound that reacts with bromine in an addition reaction. So an addition reaction always happens with the alkenes, and in this case the answer would be C. Second states that they give the letter of the one compound that reacts with chlorine to form the compound shown. Okay, so अगर हम देखें तो chlorine जो है वो attach हुआ है, so that it means that the substitution reaction has taken place, and substitution reaction always takes place with the alkanes. When alkane react with, in this case, alkene. So what's an alkene? It has to be B, which is an alkane. Now moving on, give the letter of the two compounds that can react with each other to form an ester. So ester forms between alcohol and carboxylic acid. So in this case, answer would be D and E, because D is the alcohol and E would be a carboxylic acid group. So give the letter of the compound that it is in the same homologous series as hexene. Hexene, it defines as an alkene. So our answer would be C, as C is an alkene. Give the letter of the one compound that is an acid. Well, it's an A, or you can also write E, that is in carboxylic acid. Draw a structural isomer of the compound D. Show all the atoms and all the bonds. Compound D is this one. हम लोगों को स्ट्रक्चरल आइसोमर्स बनाने हैं इस कंपाउंड के. सो इफ़ इन केस अगर हम लोग ऑक्सीजन के एटम को इसकी पोजीशन से इधर उधर कर दें तो ये आइसोमर्स बन जाएगा. फॉर एग्जांपल, तो हम लोगों ने इसमें क्या करा कि जो है ऑक्सीजन यहाँ पे थी, हम लोगों ने ब्रांच में ले लिया इसको, तो ये आइसोमर्स बन गया. सो नाउ दे आस्क द मीनिंग ऑफ द टर्म वीक एसिड. वीक की अलग मीनिंग होगी, एसिड की अलग मीनिंग होगी. वीक मीन partially. Remember the word partially, because the examiner gives the mark for this word only. Not, you cannot write like weakly or something like that. And acid means, as we know, proton donor, or H plus donor is a hydrogen ion, is a proton. So that marks the question number 1. Question number 2 states the process called Haber process, in which ammonia is produced. What is meant by the symbol? This one, it means a reversible reaction. They ask for the source of hydrogen. So the source of hydrogen is the hydrocarbon from the crude oil. You can also write reacting with steam, because when the steam reacts, the hydrogen is produced. So both can be the answers. Moving on, they ask for the effects of certain differences if they can cause any change in the percentage yield of ammonia. So if we increase the pressure of the reaction, it will increase the yield. Why? Because on the right hand side there are less moles. यहाँ पे moles कम है, यहाँ पे 2 हैं, यहाँ पे 1, यहाँ पे 3, यहाँ पे 4 हैं. So if we increase the pressure, the forward reaction would be favored. So the yield would be increased. As we know, the Haber process is the exothermic reaction, exothermic process. If they ask for increasing the temperature of the reaction, the endothermic is favored, so endothermic is the back one, so the yield would be decreased. Okay, ये क्वेश्चन बहुत दफ़ा आया है कि जो ना पार्टिकल्स के टर्म्स में आप समझाएं कि ना रेट ऑफ रिएक्शन टेम्परेचर पे क्या इफेक्ट होता है. टेम्परेचर अगर बढ़ा दें तो रेट ऑफ रिएक्शन कैसे चेंज होगा, what happens to the rate of reaction. The first sentence would be particles gain energy. Why? Because we are providing the temperature, so more collisions happen because of that. You can also write successful collisions happen. And the last one would be एक एडवाइस है मेरी तरफ से आपको कि जब भी 3 मार्क्स का आंसर हो या 2 मार्क्स का आंसर हो तो write an addition point. Like if there is 3 marks question, write 4 or 5 points. So if in case you might get wrong one, so the other marks would be noticed. So last one would be reduction increases. Okay, this is the question about the oxidation and reduction reactions, redox reactions. So they are asking for the substance which is oxidized. Oxidized mean the substance which is getting oxygen. So in this case, it would be nitrogen. The reason is simply that it gains oxygen, and we can see from the reaction given. Moving on, it's about the percentage yield. We will apply the formula of the percentage yield, which is the formula percentage yield is equal to actual yield divided by theoretical yield multiplied by 100%, as it is the percentage we are finding. The actual yield is given, which is 384 divided by 512 multiplied by 100. So at the end of the day, the answer would be 75%. Okay, they ask for the any major environmental problem does NO2 cause if it is released into the atmosphere. Remember, there are two oxides which cause the acid rain. One of them is nitrogen oxide, so it can cause an acid rain when reacting with rainwater. So we can write that it reacts with rainwater and causes acid rain. Here comes the moles question. Here we have to calculate the number of moles for HNO3. The equation is already given. We will apply the formula of mole is equal to mass over mr. The mass is already given, which is 1260 grams, and mr is already we have to find the mr of the HNO3, which would be 63, I guess. Yeah, it will be 63, and our answer would be 20 moles. Now that we have calculated the moles of HNO3, we are asked to reduce the number of moles of O2 that reacted. So remember to divide those two substances in the ratio that it is 1, it is 4. So if it is 20, what it be number of moles of oxygen? So cross multiplication, 20 divided by 4, our answer would be 5. So now we have to calculate the volume of O2 gas that is produced. We know the moles that we just calculated. 24 multiplied by 5 would be 120 dmq. Remember, when you are applying this kind of formula, the answer would consecutively come in dm cube. You don't have to worry about whether it is coming in cm cube or dm cube. It would be automatically in dm cube. Okay, it's about the exothermic reaction. They are just asking to draw the energy level diagram. As we know, this is the exothermic reaction, so products will be having a lower energy level. We will be drawing like this. Remember to read the question correctly, because they are asking to include the arrow that clearly shows the energy change. Remember, the energy change, or the delta H, is the difference between the difference of products and the reactants. So it would be this one. Remember the arrowhead would be downwards, and we will label it delta H, and we will write for HNO3 as a product, and that marks the end of question number 2. Moving on to question number 3. They are asking the reasons why the isotopes have the same chemical properties. Well, there are 2 reasons: that they have same number of electron and same electronic configuration. We have to fill the table. It's a simple table. यहाँ पे इलेक्ट्रॉन्स के नंबर लिखने हैं. इलेक्ट्रॉन के नंबर सेम होते हैं जो प्रोटॉन के होते हैं, अगर वो एटम हो. ये जो है एटम नहीं, ये आयन है, ये एटम है. दिस इज़ एन एटम, दिस इज़ एन आयन, बिकॉज इंडिकेट्स द नेगेटिव साइन. सो जब एटम होता है तो जिसके जो प्रोटॉन नंबर होते हैं वो इक्वल्स होते हैं इलेक्ट्रॉन नंबर के, एंड न्यूट्रॉन नंबर को फाइंड करने के लिए फॉर्मूला होता है, वो होता है मास नंबर माइनस एटॉमिक नंबर. So 35 minus 17 would be 18 and proton would be 17. Here the electron would be 18. Why? Because it already gains one extra electron as the negative sign indicates. Remember, to find the neutron number you have to find the difference of mass number and the proton number. So mass number is 37 for this, and atomic number or proton number is 17. So our answer would be A 20, and proton number is already 17 because it doesn't change. Okay, so the type of the reaction shown, well, it's a displacement reaction because the Na is taking place, is taking B bromine from the chlorine. Sorry, sodium is taking chlorine and removing bromine from its side. So it's a displacement reaction, or you can also write a redox reaction because oxidation and reduction is taking place. Well, the answer of the second part would be that iodine is less reactive than bromine. So in this we have to calculate, or we have to draw the dot and cross diagram. So it's already been drawn. We have to put just to complete the arrows and crosses, dot and crosses. So magnesium loses 2 electrons and ultimately chlorine gains 1 electron. So the formula would be MgCl2 because there will be 2 chlorine gaining each electron from the magnesium, which is losing or giving 2 electrons. Remember, whenever you are putting an electron coming from any other atom, so you have to indicate by its sign that ये वहाँ से आया है. Moving on to question number 3, part D. It's about the reactions that involve the energy changes, the exothermic and endothermic reactions. So they are asking that the energy needed to break the bonds. They are asking for the energy needed to break the bonds. Okay, so it would be the energy for this one is 679. It would be positive 679 because this is an energy needed to break the bonds, as it is endothermic. The energy release would be 432 multiplied by 2 minus 64. Energy chain would be simply 864 plus 679. Our answer would be minus 185 kilojoules per moles. Moving on to question number 4. It's about the water treatment. So we have to state the purpose of each state. What is the purpose of filtration? Well, it's to remove the large insoluble particles. And what's the purpose of chlorination? As we know, chlorine kills pathogens too. So the chlorination does killing of pathogens. Okay, it's about the water test. They are saying what color change happens when we use water in anhydrous copper sulfate. So the color change is from white to blue. Boiling point increases as we put more impurity in it, and melting point decreases. Okay, they're asking that how does this chromatogram show that this substance is not pure? Well, the 2 dots shows that the substance is not pure. If the substance would be pure, there would be only 1 dot. So we can say it has 2 dots. Okay, for calculating RF value, our answer would be 0.8. Why? Because we will be dividing 3.5 by 4.4. As they're asking for x, this distance would be 3.5, and the whole solvent front from the solvent front to the start line would be 4.4. So we will apply the formula: distance moved by the substance divided by distance moved by the solvent. Our answer would be 0.8. To make the colorless solution visible, we need to spray a locating agent. So for this we will be using locating agent, and we will be spraying to make the colorless substance visible. Moving on to question number 5. as there is little space in the solid particle separations. And for the particle arrangement in liquid, it would be random, or you can write irregular. Random or irregular, you can also write. The type of motion that the gas particle has is a random motion, as it collides randomly. Okay, it's about the temperature graphs. Name the chain of state taking place between A and B. Remember, the chain of state taking place A and B would be condensation. Why? Because the gas is there and the liquid is there. So the process involving the conversion of gas into liquid is condensation. So this would be our answer. Okay, for this diffusion and evaporation would be the answer, because when we spray the perfume, a liquid perfume especially, into a room, these two processes occur. That's why we can smell it from another corner. Okay, here we have to balance it, and 2, and it will be, okay, it would be 4. And if it would be blank, you can also write nothing, but it's better to write 1. Okay, type of reaction shown by the equation is simply the thermal decomposition, as the calcium nitrate is being decomposed by the provision of heat. So we can write thermal decomposition is happening. Okay, overall in chemistry there are a few tests that you have to remember. One of them is the test for nitrate ion. So we will reduce it with aluminum and we will add NaOH and heat it. The result will be turn damn litmus paper blue, because it is a alkali, so it will turn the damn litmus paper blue. Moving on to question number 7, part A. They are asking for the term meaning electrolysis. Well, it means, well, that's the definition, that the breakdown of an ionic compound in an aqueous solution present in an electrolyte by the use of electricity. So it would be gaining 2 marks. Okay, what is the main ore of aluminum? Well, it's bauxite. Okay, why aluminum cannot be extracted by the reaction with carbon? Well, it's more reactive. Aluminum is more reactive than carbon, so it would be of no use. Okay, the role of cryolite, it's simply to lower the melting point of electrolyte. Okay, in the electrolysis of the aluminum oxide or bauxite, the product formed at the positive electrode is simply an aluminum. Aluminum gains an electron, so the reduction takes place and aluminum forms. Sorry, they are asking for the product formed in the positive electrode. I thought the negative electrode. So it would be simply an oxygen. At the negative electrode, the ionic half equation would be this one. The reaction has taken place. Okay. Why the aluminum is used in overhead electricity cables? Why? Give 2 properties. Well, it conducts electricity well, and it's ductile, light, density. You can write anything. So the equation to represent the formation of rust is simply the iron plus oxygen. The word equation would be iron plus oxygen plus water, as the water and oxygen are both the conditions that should be present to form the rust. And the product would be a hydrated, remember to write hydrated iron oxide, or simply iron oxide. Okay, the difference between the properties, the difference of the properties of transition elements and the group 1 elements differs a bit, and there are few properties that the higher density is present in the transition elements, the higher density, and they have high melting point, and they can form colored compound. You can write any from colored compounds. Okay, so this is question number 8, the last question of today's lecture. Okay, we have to circle one amide linkage shown in the diagram. So amide linkage consists of this: the carbon with a double bond with oxygen and the nitrogen and H. So this is simply the amide linkage. So you have to circle one of them. It simply would be this one. Yeah. Okay, 2 monomers that are used to form nylon is simply the NH2. So we have to just draw the monomers in this box. So and the other monomer is in carboxylic group. It's simply carbon double bond with oxygen and a single bond with OH. Same would be in the left side. Remember to write oxygen with carbon, not HO. It would be OH. Okay, as the production of the nylon is the condensation reaction has taken place, so condensation reaction means the other product would be water. Okay, why is the disposal of nylon using a landfill a problem? Simply it's non-biodegradable, that's why. Okay, name of a natural polymer would be complex carbohydrate or a protein. You can write any, as it's contain only one mark. And here you go. That marks the end of our first passive session, May June 2020, paper 43, 0620, extended syllabus, paper 4.